Hello, everybody, and welcome to the MerlinCast. I'm your host, Merlin, and I decided that it was time to talk about some things that were on my mind, some relevant news and whatnot, because I'm awake at the moment. I'll start off with some news. Looks like Kenny Baker, the actor that played R2-D2, has died. It's kind of a sad loss. I think a lot of people didn't even realize, apparently, that R2-D2 was played by this gentleman. And, he operated it. He had all the motions of R2-D2 and the buttons, and, always seemed like he really enjoyed being a part of it. So it's sad, in a way, R2-D2 has passed away, but obviously, being a part of something that iconic is truly awesome, and I'm sure that he really enjoyed the experience. So he'll be missed, I'm sure, but the legacy of R2-D2 will continue. Now, I wanted to talk about some trailers that I didn't get the chance to. Just some recent stuff with the Comic-Con first showings of various things, some things I was excited about. First off, now, to be honest, the DC movie universe, and really just DC in general lately, has been very disappointing, as you guys know. You guys all know my feelings about that. But I am hoping that there is a glimmer of hope, because we have the Wonder Woman trailer, which, I'm going to be honest, looks great. I mean, I think Gal looks like she's, was a pretty awesome Wonder Woman. I really liked her. She was one of my favorite things about Batman v Superman. Just, finally Wonder Woman getting her time on screen is something that is just really exciting, and I think she looks the part. I will admit her acting ability is limited, but from what I've seen of her, she's got charisma. She seems like a strong woman, both internally and externally. I think there's going to be some action. I really like the World War One setting. I think Chris Pine's a great casting choice for Steve Trevor. I just think it's going to be really interesting to see her place in the world and kind of how she gained her recent feelings about humanity. There's some really interesting stuff there. So we get a Wonder Woman movie and taking place in World War One. Very interesting. I'm really excited for that. Probably the thing that excited me the most based on the trailers I saw. Now, the Justice League trailer was much more tongue-in-cheek. You can tell that after trying to do some really super dark movies that haven't really been working too well, unfortunately, they're just going to try and emulate Marvel more by being more fun, more silly, more comic booky, if you will. And there's just a lot of tongue-in-cheek jokes, and I'm not going to lie, I did think it was fun. I liked it. It's obvious what they're trying to do, but Justice League looks fun. I think, much like Wonder Woman, it could still be a mess, but the scenes I saw I enjoyed. I thought that their guy to play the Flash, he seems like a funny guy, a good casting choice. You got Momoa as Aquaman, which they're really highlighting. Aquaman's one of those characters that really does have a fan base, and, I really still wish that we would have had Jon Jones as opposed to Aquaman for this movie. I think, I will admit, Aquaman, I feel for the first Justice League movie, because of all the history, he does have to be there, and if they can make him awesome, that's great. But Jon Jones, the Martian Manhunter, needs to be in these DC movies. He does. I don't know if he's underrated or not, but he's been in every iteration of the Justice League. And anybody that's ever watched the DC animated universe, Martian Manhunter was amazing. Great character. Really, very, I guess outside of that, though, maybe he's underrated, but, man, we need some love for Jon Jones. I was also kind of surprised, but the King Kong prequel, Skull Island, the trailer for that movie looked really good as well. I was really interested in it, and I guess they're definitely building up for the King Kong versus Godzilla remake, because they increased Kong's size, and I don't know. I have to confess, I am interested in what they're going to do. I don't know if it's going to be good or not, but hey, it's definitely something that got me intrigued. It was a very well done trailer. Also, surprisingly, the Lego Batman trailer looked hilarious. Lego movie was fantastic, so getting to expand on Batman in a more comedic light, Will Arnett's Batman is great. The jokes were spot on for the comics, but I think that's something that everybody can enjoy. Just good, original, but smart family movies. I'm really looking forward to that. Just the Lego stuff is great. I kind of hope that continues to be a thing, which I'm sure it will due to success. Another trailer. We finally got the Rouge One actual trailer. And I have to say, now, as you guys may know, Star Wars was a big part of my life, and, I was a big Star Wars fan for a long time, and of course I still like Star Wars, but I'm more of a Star Trek fan, just in general. But Force Awakens was very good, definitely breathed some new life into the film franchise, but at the end of the day, it was still basically redoing things we've seen before. I thought it was well done, well executed, but kind of safe. But with these Star Wars individual stories they're doing, this prequel, Rogue One, we really got confirmation from the second trailer, just all the things they're hinting at. Like, it's going to be possibly a very dark, gritty, undercover Star Wars war story. And I mean, it looks really, really fascinating to me, and I'm intrigued. I'm like, we can get like a spy thriller Star Wars movie. And, that's one of the things I like about the expanded Star Wars universe is that it showed that there is more to Star Wars than just the same old Sith versus Jedi conflicts. I mean, there's entire iterations of different factions and planets and cultures and different kind of stories you can tell beyond just the Jedi. And I know that the Jedi are the most iconic thing about Star Wars, but there's so much more about it that's interesting. And yes, we're still focusing on the old Empire versus the Rebellion, but we're looking at the actual Rebellion. Like, we really only got to see bits and pieces of a couple battles, but the espionage aspect, the possible treachery, seeing some different aspects of older characters like Mon Mothma, maybe Vader's going to be back. I know James Earl Jones as Vader again. Oh, how great is that going to be? Seriously, so I'm actually more hyped for this movie than I was for Force Awakens. Like, I'm just, because it's different. It's something fresh and new for Star Wars. So I'm hoping for something a little darker, like spread your wings a little bit. Star Wars in the main cinematic universe is kind of always kept within the same basic formula. Let's get beyond that. But yeah, looking forward to that. Also, more news, the He-Man movie, which, as you guys know, He-Man movie, yeah, always kind of wanted the Adult Swim, gritty, violent He-Man. I kind of hope that's a thing one day, but I'll settle for a new movie. I hope it's good. I'm actually really excited for it because I'm a He-Man fan, just ever since I was a kid, classic He-Man. My favorite of the 80s, big 80s action cartoons. But yeah, He-Man's getting a movie, and apparently they're saying they're going to model their style after the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which, I mean, everybody's trying to do that, turn every property into a franchise that can get a billion sequels. Now, obviously, that could allow it to be open to some certain problems, but you know what? If they could make it very good somehow, I'm open to more He-Man movies. He-Man has the strong place in pop culture, but he's really had a hard time ever getting past the campiness of the 80s cartoon, which I do love, but it's kind of a guilty pleasure. He-Man, I like the character, though. I like the universe. I really do genuinely like the character. I like the stories, and I do think it's cheesy as all hell, but I do legitimately like it, though. So I think there's potential for some really awesome adaptations there to bring it fresh and new. Also, trailer for the new Triple X movie. Big Vin Diesel fan, big fan of Xander Cage returning. So, hey, I mean, it'd be cool to get a Triple X movie where he's literally skiing through trees in the jungle. Like, how over the top can you get? I'm like, oh, wow, they somehow managed to top all the ridiculous stunts in the first movie just with that one scene in the trailer. Like, that is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. It looks great. It looks fantastic. So, yeah, I don't know, the Triple X trailer. Apparently, Vin Diesel said he thought the cut of the movie was great, but it's too short. So, Vin Diesel, I think, is a pretty honest guy. And, of course, he loves his own projects, but very versatile actor. Actually, really, really cool guy. I don't know. I think I just got a good sense of Vin Diesel. He's a great person, I think. So definitely got some talent, enthusiasm. Good with the fans. Moving on briefly to TV, Kevin Smith is going to be doing a Supergirl episode, so maybe that'll be one good Supergirl episode. Hey, I mean, well, I did watch a lot of Supergirl. I watched like about maybe 10 episodes of that first season, and it wasn't terrible. It was just very mediocre. Some episodes were decent, but I just stopped. I didn't care anymore. But I guess if it's fusing with the Flash universe, maybe it'll be better. I don't know. Got to get caught up on the Flash too. But yeah, Kevin Smith, that could be a good one. He did a good episode of the Flash, So we need more Kevin Smith in general. I got actually purchased. Some other people in the family are reading it right now. But the Harry Potter sequel, The Cursed Child, which takes place years later, it follows the exploits of his children, as well as dealing with the past. It's actually a play in a book format, but, I just got to read, like, the first, like, prologue and a little bit of the first chapter. I probably might do a full review, actually, depending if I finish it in the near future. But yeah, I have to say, it was really cool, actually, to get to see some real Harry Potter material again, and I'm looking forward to it. I actually think I don't know. I'm a little trepidatious though about a sequel that takes place with characters I don't really know, especially in a play format. I feel like we might not get to know these characters as well because of that lack of description. I kind of would like to see the play though, if it ever is showing around though. That'd be kind of cool. I'm sure Harry Potter fans are going nuts. And hey, in my family, we liked it enough we had to go get it. I mean, I'm a pretty big Harry Potter fan actually, so I got to reread those books at some time, and I'll let you guys know when I have an update though on that one. Some big news in the manga anime world, which I guess I want to talk about briefly. Bleach obviously came to an end. The manga finally ended. Not that I really follow it, haven't for a long, long time, but I know vaguely what's going on, and I didn't really jump on the bandwagon beyond this. And conversely, in addition with the manga ending, there is talk of the anime finally adapting the rest of the manga. So, I mean, it's kind of mixed, I think, for Bleach fans because, yeah, it's kind of like when Naruto ended. It was like, oh God, when I guess because these are like some of the big three series that have the biggest fandoms in the West for years and years. That people just feel like, they have so much attachment to these that once they end, it's like the end of manga or the end of anime. But you realize that even though it might be coming to an end and there might not necessarily be new material, you can always go back and reread the manga. It's not going anywhere, and there's plenty of other comics and, anime series to watch and read. So there's plenty of opportunities. I mean, of course, everybody has their show that they love or their comic that they love, their manga. But, when things end, there's other things to pick up on. So I don't know if I really... I mean, I guess it feels nostalgic to probably have the series conclude, but for me, Bleach kind of ended for me in a spiritual sense, I guess, a metaphorical sense, like years and years ago, because I was going to make a video about this, but I'll just talk about it now. I've beaten this to death, and I feel like in this community, it's like, besides being the guy that loves Full Metal Alchemist and loves Hunter x Hunter and Hakusho and Berserk and Dragon Ball, obviously, I feel like I'm also the guy that just occasionally hates on Bleach. Like, I'm this guy that just hates Bleach. I mean, I have like, I don't know, I have made a couple Bleach videos on my channel, which of course are pretty well received videos, and I think they're all slightly negative, which sucks because. I'll take this time. This might be a little longer of a section, but Bleach. Oh man, if Bleach gets a new anime, I might watch the anime possibly. I don't know, but like I said, I didn't really even care much about the manga for a while, so I don't know. When I got into Bleach years and years ago, like I've talked about this briefly, but for a brief period of time. Like when I first discovered Bleach and watched the first initial arc, it was one early in my anime experience, and Bleach probably held the title of my favorite anime briefly. I loved Bleach as a concept. It was very interesting for a shonen, a battle series. And I remember years ago, some article I read once described Bleach as the thinking man's battle anime, the thinking man's shonen. And you know what? Comparatively to Naruto, I would agree with that. I think that Bleach dealt with some pretty heavy themes, that it had a very interesting world. Obviously, the concept of life after death and souls that are tortured and have to pass on and dealing with the evil within ourselves. Some pretty interesting and dark elements. I mean, I've always kind of said that Bleach was Yu Yu Hakusho light in that sense. I mean, it's very similar, but it did explore some really cool ideas. And I loved the fact that it was more of a horror series, and it kind of dealt with the exorcist element, and it could have been a little more episodic, Monster of the Week, but the fact that these hollows are, former people who've been overcome by their sense of evil and loss, and they go off and they attack other people, and Ichigo would have to go around basically destroying them, kind of like a Spirit Detective, etc., etc. And it could have had like a specific theme, and of course, I liked the fact that, okay, sure, and evil Soul Reaper, or maybe some evil hollows, like kind of similar to the direction they went. But in all honesty, the fact that we kind of lost sight of the hollows being these monsters and being more of the focus kind of pulled the series into a more generic shonen action trope, and it fell into a lot of the same patterns, and it went on too long, and there was a lot of filler and a lot of padding and a lot of BS. And of course, one of the biggest flaws naturally was that they didn't focus on the main characters that much. You'd spend long periods of time with these chapters and episodes just devoted to side characters, And it got to be irritating. And honestly, Aizen was built up as the main villain, and yet it turns out he wasn't after all this time. And the resolution of that wasn't that great. And it kept on going after Aizen, which I think it had already kind of worn out its welcome before that point. So the combination of just it going on too long, losing focus with the main characters, and losing those introspective ideas and those interesting themes and the horror element of how terrifying the Hollows were as monsters, I think really dragged down the potential of the series. I think early Bleach is quite good. I really like the early arcs, like the first arc or two. I think are really interesting, but it just kind of loses its place. And I know that happens to a lot of series, but yeah, Bleach for me ended a long time ago. I really lost a lot of my investment in it a long time ago. Maybe one day I'll go back and rewatch some of it again, actually finish it, but I don't know. I think that for Bleach fans, though, it's a bit of a mixed bag. But speaking of more newer concepts, there's Berserk, the new anime, which I've been mostly caught up with. And, you know, so far, I think I'm going to do a more expanded video on it because I know subscribers were interested in what I had to say about it. But the short version is basically that the animation's a bit annoying. You know, I don't like the CGI. I think it looks cheap. I don't like Guts' design. But some parts of it are decent. The tone of the manga is definitely there. You know, I do think that the story is progressing pretty well. And I do genuinely like that. You know, from what I've seen from what they've adapted so far, it seems very true to the manga. And it is good to watch. It is a decent adaptation. I just don't like the animation choice too much. That's the biggest thing to get over. But I might give you guys more thoughts on it. I'm kind of hoping that it actually wraps things up. I had a brief discussion with the anime hero about that it could take on its own direction because it's only going to be 26 episodes. But maybe with the popularity, you'll get another season. Like Attack on Titan, which hopefully will conclude, which I believe it is. And whenever that's going to be coming out. But speaking of series that ended, you know, much when people were complaining about Bleach ending, I remember that it was like, the end of last year when Naruto was ending, and oh, what a fit. I mean, Naruto didn't go away. Like, I know that being a Dragon Ball fan, this might seem kind of hypocritical, but you want to know something? Okay? Even though Super might have come back, and Dragon Ball has continued now, arguably more popular than ever, I guess you could say I shouldn't be complaining about this, but Naruto's fine. I really don't have a problem with Naruto. I mean, there are issues with it, but I really don't have a problem with Naruto. I think it's fine. Also, much like Bleach, lost interest, but from a story perspective, I think it holds together well, and at least it focuses on the main characters and whatnot, though should have ended with pain, but no whole nother discussion. Check out the video I made about it. But Naruto, you know, people were complaining about it, and I was like, okay, Naruto's ended. Let's deal with it. Let's move on. Some new series can take its place, much like Bleach. You know, we'll have some possibilities for new great series to make up a new big three so that a couple people can sit up there with One Piece, which is going to go on forever, apparently, according to Oda, which, whatever, you know, he could do that if he wants. But, of course, naturally, when Naruto's about to end, guess what? There's that Boruto movie, and then Boruto's a thing, and I will admit, I have not watched or read a single thing about it. I'm a little interested, but it's kind of like the Harry Potter thing. You know, you do this sequel focusing on new characters that I don't know if I'm particularly interested in, and also another comparison might be Avatar and Legend of Korra. Never really checked out Legend of Korra because I just would have liked to have seen more of the other characters, and I guess you get Toph, but you know, so I think it's difficult to pull that off, and I'm not saying it automatically means you shouldn't check out a series like that, but my point is that Naruto didn't really go away, you know, and I mean, it's great for Naruto fans, but I think that they should have just taken a break, and I heard someone say that once again the author felt kind of pressured to make more stuff because people just didn't want Naruto to end, but I'm not saying he has to be like Togashi and take massive breaks, but come on, man. Like, you could have given us a couple years to breathe and then make it more meaningful. Because Boruto picked up, like, almost right away. Like, it was right away. I mean, at least with Super, it was like a good 15 years or so. Well, yeah, it was a good 15 years before we had the new movies and then the new show. So, you know, people had to wait for that. People had to prove that Dragon Ball had enough of a fan base in the West and worldwide to garner that. But with Naruto, it's like, just give into it now because of pressure and money, which I guess because nostalgia is the big thing, it makes sense, but I don't know. Speaking of Dragon Ball Super, for anybody that's wondering, I have stopped watching it for a while. Like, I know basically what's going on, but I really want to avoid spoilers for a couple reasons. First of all, Goku Black, oh yay, in this opportunity to create new possible storylines and new great villains, what do? Another clone of the hero. God, the evil twin thing is so lazy. So lazy. I'm just, But that's a minor thing. I'll still watch it. Second reason is because I really do like the Funimation dub, like, Sean Schemmel, Chris Sabat, Sonny Strait, all those guys. Like, I like that. I mean, I like watching in Japanese, but I really like the way I see it. I'm gonna buy it eventually. I will buy Super when it comes out for sure. And then I'll talk about it. From what I saw, what I did watch, I was actually watching some of it, and I did like it. But there was another thing too. When I went to the Harrisburg Comic Con, when Sean Schemmel came by as a visit, one of the things he talked about was how streaming really does kind of hurt the industry, and he was like legitimately upset about it. Like he was kind of irritated because it said that like some studios in Japan, they can really lose money and die out. And I know the whole illegal downloading streaming thing is a very mixed situation. A lot of people have opinions about it. I mean, I think if it's the movie industry, yeah, it might hurt the industry a bit, but let's face it, the movie industry does garner so much money at the box offices anyway. And even so, even think about all the movies that fail, all that money that is just lost. Well, it seems like they always have plenty more money to make more movies, So it's like, maybe. I think the biggest issues where illegal downloading might hurt is music, because that, let's face it, people don't want to go out and buy the records anymore. I mean, people might listen to stuff on iTunes and whatnot, but I think that could hurt a lot of bands. I know it's hard to make money off your music anyway. It's always been that way. And a lot of bands make their money through shows, but that's an issue. I think one reason why with anime and manga, it's sort of a double-edged sword because, well, obviously there are some shows and series that you can't have access to over here, and there's no other way to watch them. And, who knows if certain rights will ever be purchased and they will be distributed over here because people aren't sure if it's going to be a successful market. But part of the reason that's an issue is because so many people are illegally downloading it, so they feel like it's not worth the risk of actually putting it out there to buy or to stream legally or whatever. So I think that when it comes to anime and manga, because it's imported nationally, it's much more of a niche thing. I feel like it's very, very important. I think it's important for you to try to support any industry you like if you have to support an artist or whatever. But with anime and manga, I really do encourage you guys to support the industry when you can. Like even if it's just like a Crunchyroll subscription, or hey, click. Watching their ads kind of helps them to some extent if you don't want to pay for it. And, of course, even with your Netflix stuff, it helps. And maybe occasionally, buy that T-shirt, buy that DVD, maybe buy that special Blu-ray box set. I'm not saying, I understand money's tight, but do what you can. And I'm not saying necessarily, hey, you can do what you want. But do consider that when you illegally download, it does hurt the industry a bit. And I know you're saying, oh, well, it's overpriced stuff anyway, but it's tough, and I understand that it's hard to find that fine line, but all I know is that Sean Schemmel, Goku himself, was not too happy about it. We'll see what it is. The way I see it, though, at the end of the day, if you are going to purchase it anyway, then I guess it doesn't really matter. I'm sure that most people that are watching Dragon Ball Super in Japanese will probably purchase the dub at some point. Let's face it, they're Dragon Ball fans, so maybe it doesn't matter that much. But it's just something to consider. And there was one thing I want to talk about. I'm probably going to be writing an article on the Artifice about the evolution of comic book supervillains. And I think I'm going to use the Scarecrow as an example because I don't know if a lot of you guys know this, but the Scarecrow is my favorite Batman villain. And I recently purchased a Scarecrow collection. It's a trade with like basically significant Scarecrow stories all the way from his first appearance in the 40s, with several of them just all the way up to more recent comics, and they're all centered on him. And the evolution of that character is just fascinating to me. And I really like reading the old 40s Batman comics because you'd think they'd be overly cheesy, but, they're really not. I mean, they feel very old school, but they're pretty serious comics. And I don't know. I kind of enjoy them. It's just kind of fascinating, and old comics hold up. But moving into some update stuff, there's some upcoming anime discussions I have planned, hopefully for this month, probably by the end. Some people voted on the Facebook page, Legends of the Galactic Heroes, Boku no Hero, Magi, I think Berserk as well, and I think there might have been one more. But these are anime series that I'm sure I'm not going to have time to catch up to, but things that people seem interested for me to talk about, so I figure I'll probably maybe watch a couple episodes of each and give some real first impressions videos. And let's see, I've got a couple reviews coming up for Patreon. I did one for Genesis of Aquarion, which was an anime series, and I also did the Inglourious Bastards for the Tarantino reviews. So yeah, if you guys want to have reviews like that of your own kind, you could just donate to my site or become a patron. I only charge like a couple bucks a month, so, or if you just want to make a single donation for a request, that's fine too. And you could get like a full-length review just like that. So if you like that, please support that. I can use any currency that I can find, seriously. That's always very helpful. And in addition to that, I did set up my backup account, Merlin Reviews 2, if you want to subscribe to it, because if you don't want to go to the website, I'm going to try and upload some of my videos on there, because that way if I get a strike or something, I'm not worried about it as much. But I will say, most of the videos have been blocked worldwide so far, so whether or not I'm going to be able to upload many videos there, or it eventually just disappears, I can't promise anything, but I do try to give you guys another YouTube alternative, so feel free to check that out. Also, the movie that I'm working on, Sacrifice, the very low-budget indie horror film with my friends, is nearing conclusion of filming. Hopefully we'll get to film a couple missing scenes. If not, I'll have to be creative with how I fill in the gaps or some rewrites. But it's been a pretty fun experience. So filming's almost done. I've got some people sending in some stuff for music, for some audio stuff, and I'm going to begin the editing process. I don't know how long it's going to take me. I'm going to say probably a month or two, depending on how long it is and what I decide to do. It's hard to say with the schedule and everything, but I am planning. I was originally planning to release it January of next year, but I'm probably going to get done with editing before then, so I'm planning maybe October, like around Halloween, I guess. So I'll probably release a trailer maybe about a week before it comes out, and then I'll probably release the movie on the channel and on my site. And then afterwards, I'm planning to do a commentary. I don't know if everybody's going to be involved. I might even film the grand showing when we all watch it and make fun of it. And I'm probably going to actually record a riff for it too, if we think there's enough funny material, which there may be. So I'm not sure. For my first movie, it's pretty awesome to have gotten this close and really made it happen, even though it's really really rough. But I don't know, to be able to say that I actually made my first film is a stepping stone to do other things. And I'm also working on some other things. It's been a very creative year for me. I'm getting really into music again. If you guys check out the Facebook page, I'm always posting songs and bands I'm getting back into. Listen to a lot of music on my downtime nowadays, which is really helpful with dealing with things. And kind of like, I found this one app for, I think it's Soundtrap, just really cool software for just basically just writing music. And I'm not going to pretend like I'm a musical expert or anything, but I was like in a jam band years ago and made a couple tracks. And I don't know, I just had this desire to get back into music, and I figured, hey, I can just upload my own albums and put them on YouTube. And hey, probably more of an electronic industrial sound. But yeah, I have my name of my project picked out, and I think an album, and yeah, like I'm probably gonna upload that soon. I'm also, as I mentioned before, I'm working on a novel, which also I'm surprised I've already reached, like, I think novella status by how many words I've written, which is like, it just kind of blew my mind. I checked, like, wow, because I usually write like a couple days, like 1 or 2 days a week, when I have downtime, and I just like I write like a couple paragraphs here, a couple paragraphs there, and I've written quite a bit, so. Not sure where it's going, but yeah, it's going to be fun. I don't know if I'm going to release that free on the site, because I honestly think that the file might be too big. It might not be, but I'm not sure. I might have to release that on Kindle and ask you guys to pay for it. Obviously like $2 or something, but yeah, if you guys are interested, I I'll probably try to get that published, and I don't know, maybe self-publish it. But yeah, it's been cool. So yeah, it's been fun writing a lot of short stories. Yeah, so it's been cool. Hopefully, gonna get that done. Hopefully before the end of the year. I feel like I might. But yeah. So yeah, as far as personal life goes, pretty busy. Had a nice weekend off. Spent some time by the pool, so got a little time to relax. But yeah, other than that, not too much to report. I wanted to end this with a couple little plugs and shout-outs for people with my collab groups. The Phantom group, my anime collab group with some old friends of mine. We did a couple recent things. We did a robot carnival review. It's kind of a a collaboration of various different anime shorts that are all robot themed, so it's kind of cool sci-fi based there. And it was I and the anime hero and Kai and Mr. Falcon Punch that discussed it. It was a good little video, so check that out. And I also got some of my Phantom group buddies and a couple other YouTubers into Pathfinder, which is tabletop RPG. It's kind of like Dungeons and Dragons. Uploaded that on the Phantom channel as well. So hopefully we'll do a couple more videos like that. It was a fun live stream, actually. It's worked pretty well. I'm glad I was able to rake some people into some nerdy things like that. But yeah, that's good. So you can check that out if you're interested in that. And for Film Fanatics, we're doing our reviews as we normally do. And we're actually going to be working on epic movies this month. So it'll be focusing on Ben-Hur and Sound of Music, things like that. Really long, classic movies. So it's going to be a good month, hopefully. I'm not sure what the future of Film Fanatics is going to be due to scheduling issues and other things. So, yeah, we'll find out. But, yeah, we'll see what the future holds. Other than that, though, yeah, I guess that's my podcast. It was actually a little shorter than I suspected, but that's cool. I want to take this time, though, to say, once again, if you guys would be willing to donate to the Patreon or whatever for a full-length review of any kind of series, please do. And if you're not sure how to do it, let me know. Really, for one of those reviews, it could be 20 minutes long, professional review on my website for just a couple bucks, like $2, $5. I believe I set it up, but literally, if you just gave me a couple dollars, I'll do it for you. Might take a while, but I accept pretty much any donation. Though anything below $1, I probably wouldn't accept. But if you guys can't donate, I did want to open up a possibility, though. If you guys, I might do a video for this. I don't know if you guys will listen to this part, but for just general subscriber feedback, if there is a particular series or movie or comic or game or just general topic you guys want me to discuss or make regular videos about, let me know in the comments below. And how many people have the same comments and the same suggestions, if there's a voting, I might do that as well. I'm also going to be putting more polls in the Facebook group because I think that's interesting, and I might actually have another one coming up too. So if you want to put in a vote on the Facebook as well, or even make one yourself, that's fine. But yeah, I'd like to hear you guys' suggestions on videos you'd like to see, because even if you can't donate, I'm still willing to take suggestions, and if I see that more people are interested in a topic, I'll try to make a video on it. I try to fit it with him when I can. Life is busy, though. Alright, everybody, that's going to wrap up this video, and I'm going to say Merlin out. Stay magical.